Hey, it's iCkEdMeL. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for stopping by. I have a couple of updates regarding Amy and James. Some of the details are pretty crazy, revealing stuff that's not in the news and media. I spoke to two people online that reached out to me. We're going to start off with a couple of video clips from the news media, which will corroborate what the people reached out to me and told me. You're going to want to watch this video to the very end because this is not what it seems to be. There's a lot of questions still in the air, and especially given what was found in the car and some of the history and possible knowledge of the mother being aware. And so it just changes some of the dynamics. Definitely comment down below, let me know your thoughts, and if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, subscribe button, turning on the bell with all notifications enabled, I'd appreciate that. So this is the first clip that I wanted to show you guys. This was sent to me by Kara yesterday. Thank you. She sent it to me on Facebook, and I thought it was interesting because of the visual, and they describe a little bit what James was like when he ran into somebody. So let's watch this first, and then we're going to watch when they talk about what was found inside the vehicle.
James Harrison's 2-year-old girl was found deceased near his abandoned truck Saturday near Tanglewood Road. His wife's 7-year-old son found by hunters.
And I just wanted to make it very clear, and it's important to know that the 2-year-old is the biological child of Amy and James. The 7-year-old is the biological of the mother, but has a different father.
Away and was taken into DHS custody. Investigators say Harrison, his wife Amy, and the 2 kids were traveling on I-20 last Thursday when they had an argument. He kicked her out of the car. James Harrison was last seen wandering a rural road. He suffers from diabetes and has not been taking his insulin.
And that's another thing too, sorry to interject, but a lot of the reports are saying that she got out on her own and left, but there's some other articles like this one that are stating that he kicked her out.
His mental state, he was not making good decisions. When he was seen by the witness on Friday, he was actually not in any shoes, was wearing socks, short sleeve shirt, and again, it appeared to be soaking wet and had been out in the elements for quite a while.
James Harrison is facing manslaughter charges in the death of his 2-year-old. His wife Amy now being held in the Scott County Jail, charged with child neglect for waiting 24 hours to report her children's disappearance.
Now I almost wonder if it's a combination of both. Like, did he run out of this medication and he was wandering around and given the stuff that was found in the car, or was it just the stuff that was found in his car? And with Amy, well, let's watch this next clip and I'll explain.
The little girl's mother is already behind bars. Deputies say it's a case of neglect.
Scott County Sheriff said this is a case of both parents being irresponsible. The search continues for the 2-year-old's father, James Harrison, with active warrants for manslaughter and child neglect. Police say the mother got out of the truck and called a friend to pick her up.
See the varying reports, whether she got out or she was kicked out, you know, who knows.
The truck ended up off the road, and what happened next is uncertain. The couple's 2-year-old daughter was found dead, and their 7-year-old child was found by hunters, but no one's seen the father. James Harrison was last seen wearing blue jeans, a red shirt-sleeve shirt, and just socks. Police say during the investigation, drug activity was found in the truck.
See, that's what I thought was interesting. During the investigation, drug activity was found in the truck. And so, I mean, technically insulin or that kind of stuff is a drug, but the way they word it and given the context, I believe they're talking like substances that are not medications, you know what I mean? And so so that's where I also think part of the neglect can come into play, was that the mother had to know this stuff was in there. Plus, we're going to talk about the rumors.
Authorities say drug activity was found in the truck. Authorities say it's a tragic case that could have been prevented.
The air she took through, that she came through, it had briars and things like that, and neither child was dressed prepared for the elements that were outside.
The question lingers as to why the mother, Amy, waited a day to file a missing report. Investigators are waiting for autopsy results. The 7-year-old is now in the care of a Scott County deputy along with his family with approval from Child Protective Services.
So it might be, I mean, there's a lot that we don't know. Her taking a day to report the children missing, plus the stuff that's found in the car. She knew probably what was going on, that it was a bad situation for the kids. As the officer said, they weren't dressed appropriately for the elements. Maybe hypothermia did take in. Maybe this guy was on something, and then hypothermia took place also.
Just terrible. Investigators believe the 2-year-old girl died from hypothermia. The child's father now wanted on charges of manslaughter and child neglect.
So let me get into what the two people that reached out to me told me. Now, this first one, I'm going to categorize it under rumor. This is a person that stated they lived in the area, potentially a neighbor that was in the area, and this person told me that this is not the first time they've had crazy issues like this. According to this person, allegedly James kidnapped the mom and had taken her to Mississippi this summer, and she had to escape from him. The second person I would definitely deem as credible with the information that corroborates, and there's other things I can't say, things that line up. The details are pretty crazy. And when I spoke to this person and I stated, okay, so I'm going to put this under the category of rumors, they were like, no, this is fact. So I'm going off what this person said. I couldn't look it up. I spent like an hour and a half looking at Amy and James, and there's some stuff, but there's no information. It seems like North Carolina has like a thing where you have to request to get this type of information. So with regards to the 7-year-old, let me read what this person said. I'm going to leave out some information because I can't state the relationship of this person. James is only the father to the 2-year-old. James has a long history of abuse. He has open cases of child abuse in North Carolina where he has left marks on the 7-year-old. The father of the 7-year-old has gone to CPS more than once trying to get him out of the home. From what he's heard, he has also, meaning James has also hit his wife Amy and another woman, the other woman being the 7-year-old's father's ex-wife. As for her waiting to call the police and report them, I believe that she waited because she is a very low IQ. That's not a dig at her, but facts. When Amy did call the police, the way she worded it, the police told her that there's not much they can do. It wasn't until Friday where Amy called the father of the 7-year-old and told him. The person also said that the father of the 7-year-old then called the police where she was at and asked them to do a welfare check on the kids. And that's when they started looking for James. And Friday night is when they put out the APB on James in the truck and started looking for the kids. So I asked for a little bit of more specifics as to the APB and when the kids were found, and the details still get really crazy, but I thought it would be really important to just talk about the official timeline, which is still kind of vague. But this whole situation took place on a Thursday, right? The mother and father, Amy and James, they get into an argument, they fight. She gets out of the truck, whether she's kicked out or gets out, and on Friday, the next day, is when she reports the father and the children missing. The children supposedly leave the vehicle. At one point, the 7-year-old, the 2-year-old gets separated, and the 7-year-old runs into hunters. And so I asked for a little bit more specifics. The 7-year-old was found after the APB. They found the 7-year-old midday Saturday. The APB went out Friday night. So the whole thing of hypothermia in this environment for that prolonged of a period of time, it's lucky that 7-year-old is even alive. The other thing too, the 7-year-old's father, I'm being told that he didn't know that his child was out of state. So Amy had called the father and asked if he would be able to watch his son in the event that Amy's parents couldn't keep the 7-year-old while her and James went to Mississippi because there had been a death in the family. So initially he was thinking that his son, the 7-year-old, was, I guess, at home with Amy's parents. This is all allegedly, by the way, to cover myself. Now, another interesting thing with regards to the substance that was found in the vehicle, the drug activity, which I find it weird that they've made such a small mention of it and everything else is about this diabetes, but I think that's a pretty significant bit of information. The other thing that this person told me was that supposedly Amy told police that she had seen James snort and had been up 3 days before they got into a fight. Now, the person that I'm talking to, they didn't know that supposedly James did substances because of his diabetes and stuff. The other thing that I wanted to add on here, a couple more tidbits, and I'm sure that it goes a lot deeper than this. Allegedly, there was at least 3 reports to whatever they call it over there, CPS, of bruising at least 3 times. Also, allegedly, James and Amy weren't really taking care of the kids. A lot of the times they were left with Amy's parents. And so the father would have to go through Amy's parents to see the kids. And from what I'm hearing, it looks like it was something out of spite, maybe vengeful, as a way to get back at the father. Allegedly, Amy didn't like the woman that the father would be with. And so this was a way to get back. And this was going on for a long time, maybe even still. And so the father was able to get some sort of custody, had to get a court order forcing Amy to let the father have some time, a specified amount of time, with the 7-year-old. I wanted to briefly go over these articles that Lori sent me, great articles regarding diabetes and blood sugar and something called diabetic rage. And we don't know exactly what happened. It could have been a thing where everything happened. He could have been out of his medication, on substances. This one here from verywellhealth.com speaks a little bit about diabetic rage, how it can be dangerous. It can involve behaviors a person isn't consciously aware of. Psychologically, when someone's blood sugar fluctuates, spikes, and drops, it can produce feelings of anger and anxiety or depression that are out of the control of the person experiencing them. More seriously, extremes of both hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia can lead to cognitive impairment, confusion, loss of self-control, or hallucinations. Some of the things here listed on healthyplace.com: visual hallucinations, delusional thinking, confusion, hypoglycemia and psychosis, confusion, scattered thoughts, delirium, visual hallucinations, delusional thinking. Well, you guys let me know down below what you think. Especially, do you think he's on the run? Do you think something happened to him? It's very possible that he was on substances, which I really do believe what this person told me, and it kind of coincides with what was found in the vehicle, and also him being out of medication. Also, do you believe that the mother bears responsibility? Because it appears that she knew there were substances, and it's very lucky that that 7-year-old was alive. I didn't really even think of the time frame. Like, I knew this happened on a Thursday, so the kids could have potentially been out since Thursday night, then come Friday, and then Saturday afternoon. I hear that the 7-year-old is doing okay, and I didn't talk to the father, if that's what you're wondering. I think this whole situation seems just like a case of neglect, and potentially there's a history, and even potentially history of CPS maybe knowing about certain situations and allegedly and not taking matters into their own hands. And so we'll see what happens. Hopefully, if they see fit, the father gets custody. I don't know the father's history or what's the whole situation with that, but you guys comment below, let me know your thoughts. I do have I want to do an update video, and then I have a new story that I want to bring to you guys. I think this is another one of those things where we talk about often mother and boyfriend or husband or significant other, the mother and father, the original parents separate, you bring other kids, it becomes a mess, and then the person that person's with is no good, but maybe the mother was no good too, I don't know, and then the kids always suffer, and it's always some sort of argument, two adults fighting while the kids are suffering, and it's just too bad there wasn't one person there with the right mind to take those kids out of that situation. Though, you know, I don't know what happened when the mother left, or was she kicked out, and maybe in court that'll be something that'll be significant in what she knew and what she didn't know. Anyway, take care of yourself. Thank you guys for all the support. Peace.